Hey, what is up guys? I'm Exteria, and in this video, we're going to be going over the meta tier list of patch 14.1. Minor warning, this tier list is based off my own experiences, not really based off any data. So if you're looking for an 100% accuracy of the current meta, look elsewhere. This is just all based off my own opinions and what I think of the current meta. For those of you that want to learn from me and see the way how I view the meta, we first must know my rank. Currently, I am Emerald 4, which is okay stats. I would say it's not the best looking stats, but at least I grinded pretty far. This puts me around top 600 of North America, and to be honest, around top 200 and top 700, we're all in the same category of being the Emerald bracket. So this means that a lot of the players in North America currently are around the same rank. Alright, getting into the tier list, we're going to show off S, A, and B tier. And for S tier, it means that if you play these units or any of these resources, you're basically up placement. On top of that, they are really powerful in the current meta. That means that they're basically broken. Next up we got is A tier. This means that these units or resources are strong enough to win games with. That means that their power is strong, but just not too powerful, because there's certain situations where the resources or units that you have are just not strong enough. Unless it's under the right conditions, it can be broken. So this means that you have to play a certain way to make them very strong. Next up we got is B tier, and this means that they are strong enough to possibly win games with, and they're pretty decent, with many reasons on how it can be good under the right conditions. So there's certain things that, like, maybe in order to play them, you might have to be level 10 or have a +1 slot. Doesn't mean that they're bad, it just means you can't fit them in. And we're gonna start off strong with our most powerful units in the game currently, which are these 5-cost units here. It's gonna be Kuboko. Honestly, he's the #1 unit. Super tanky, and he's super powerful. You activate Cyberboss, he's just a god. On top of that, he's very strong as a 1-star. And these other units here are also very powerful as a 1-star. Renekton also gives Divinity Court for attack speed. Veigo gives +1 unit. Same with Aurora, she's AoE, and she also gives +1 unit. The thing about these units is if you get them level 2, you have a higher chance of winning the game and possibly a first place. Next up, we got the duo here, which is Leona and Xayah. Leona is just a very tanky unit for a 4-cost unit. Surprisingly enough, she basically has a built-in Gargoyle Stoneplate. You don't really need to build it. I've been seeing many people, including myself, been winning games just having her as a solo frontline tank. And Xayah, her damage is just very insane. Honestly, if it wasn't for you have to build Shojin and IE, I would technically say she's A tier, but her damage is just so insanely high that I just have to put her in S tier. Next up we got is our budget tanks. And as you can tell, most of these are bruisers, but they have different reasons on why they're good. Like Mordekaiser, he's very powerful because he's a techie. So you play him with Viego, you can activate that debuff on the board. On top of that, he's just a bruiser. Bruisers are very strong synergy as a tank. And he's also an exotech, so he's actually just jack of all trades. On top of that, his ability is a stun. So what can you go wrong with that? And he also gains a shield on top of that stun. Alistar in general is just a very good budget character for early game. And on top of that, late game, he's still pretty useful as well for Golden Ox if you need that on the board. So overall, Alistar is just a very good tempo unit. Same with Gragas, he's a good +1 unit. You don't need to activate Bruiser at all. You just throw him out for Divinity Court for having HP on the board. And on top of that, he's just a good solid throwaway piece on the board for a tank. So if you just need a random tank for no reason, you just throw Gragas out for the fun of it, and he'll probably win you rounds because of what his value is. Next up we got is the 2 strategist units, and if you activate like around 3 strategists, these 2 units become online, and most of the time when you do play them, you play around 3 anyways. For Nico's case, she does high amounts of damage with her ability already, and she gains a shield when she casts. So you just put AP bruiser items or tank items on her, like Crown Guard. She's just very powerful with it. Technically, she equates to having a 1-star Kuboko, her being 2-star. So that's the reason why there's a huge difference between Kuboko and Nico, but she's still good overall. And Yumi's case, she's just technically a better Annie in my opinion, because she's budget and she has a lot of the synergies they can use, and her damage is pretty decent. Like, I've seen a lot of games where people use Yumi to tempo the 9 or just an item holder until they can find Brand 2 or Annie 2. Like, this unit overall is just super powerful with Food Strategist. As an Anima Squad unit, personally I feel like she's trash. She's still there as an item holder for Aurora till you find Aurora, then you just replace her with Aurora. Next up we got is Rost, but not just regular Rost, Hero Augment Rost. That's the reason why I highlighted him yellow, because you need to get his augment in order for him to be very strong. Because once you get his augment and you 3-star him, he's just gonna decimate boards and possibly win games. I've seen a lot of people just out-tempoed the game so hard just picking up this augment, because 2-star Rost with Bloodthirster and then +1 item like IE or Hodge would just decimate boards super quickly, or he would just never die. So if you're gonna play Rost, pick up his hero augment and you'll guarantee top 4. Now for the synergies, there's not really really need to explain this, do I? Strategist is just broken. Same with Anima Squad. Basically about it. Oh, tip for Anima Squad too. A lot of people have been asking me, what weapons do I use for Anima Squad? Technically is the 80 items, since you're gonna be playing Xayah carry. So pick up the 80 weapons. And on top of that, the Annihilator, the one that does true damage on the board, is very powerful because it's free true damage to hit on every unit. Next up we got is Street Demon. This one is just very popular because it gains you stats for every unit on the board, but you have to position a certain way. Even then, it's actually worth it to put it on the highlighted hex for your carry units so they can gain more attack speed to keep casting their abilities. So overall, Street Demon is very powerful with just 3 Street Demon. Compared to Anima Squad, you have to play vertical, meaning you have to play like 7, and then for strategists, you kind of need to play with 4. So that's the reason why I say Street Demon's S tier, because you only need 3. Next synergy that I would say is S tier. Technically is A tier, but if you have all 5 executioners, it's just very powerful. I actually have not gotten below a top 2 as soon as I throw out 5 executioner. Like that synergy is just so strong because you gain a lot of damage and you gain durability. For our items, Spirit Shojin is the best one since most units actually need them. For example, like Aurora and Xayah, or even someone like Yumi or Annie. So just a lot of units overall in the current meta uses item, so you're gonna have to make it. Therefore, it's S tier because it's super powerful for these units. And speaking of which, for the most powerful items for each unit, Guinsoo's Rage Play is also another one, since a lot of reroll comps need it, and almost every AD comp has to use it as well. So therefore, this is also S tier due to because how impactful it is for the meta. Next up, we got Static Shiv. This just debuffs the whole board, is a good secondary carry item, and it makes AP units do extra damage because you shred all their magic resist. So overall, it's just a good item. Bloodthirster is a very good melee item. It's the best healing one, therefore it's S tier. Sunfire is just a very good tank item overall because it burns people, so does damage. It also gives anti-heal, and most tanks in the current meta can survive long enough with Sunfire as well. Compared to last set, Sunfire was kind of hard to use since units will die right away, so it's better to use other anti-heal items than Sunfire. But this set, Sunfire is the best. Same reasoning like Static Shiv, but Static Shiv is meant for range, while this item is meant for frontline. Main reason why is because having a Last Whisper is kind of hard to fit in for units. The only person that can use Last Whisper would be Xayah, and every other AD unit does not use it. So therefore even Shroud is better, since the same reasoning like Sunfire. Tanks are tanky enough just to hold this item to last long enough for this item to work. And we got one of the most universal items to amplify our crits. Guardbreaker is very good because if you don't know what direction to play, you can just land this item for free damage. And if you want to play AD, just build IE with it, you do extra damage. If you want to play AP, build your Gauntlet with it. On top of that, if you don't need the item later, you just throw in a secondary carry and it works for them as well. And lastly, Warmongs. It's just free HP. It's just Warmongs things. Now for the A tier, we're going to start off with our strategist units. I say all of these units are A tier because they work really well with strategist, but the reason why I say Samara is A tier and not S tier is because the difference between her and these other 4 or 5 cost units here, like Aurora, Kuboko, Renekton, and Viego, is because her 1-star is not strong enough. These units you can play 1-star and you can just win with them compared to Samara. You need to 2-star her in order for her to be strong. Unlike the rest, you 2-star them, they become like gods. So therefore, I'll say Samara is A tier. And then for these 3, like I said earlier, they're good for strategists, so therefore the default to A tier since the synergy itself is broken. But for Annie's case, she could technically be S tier. The reason why I say she's A tier though, is because you need to specifically build Shojin, Blue Buff, and Nashers. Then she becomes S tier. If you don't have one of those items, then she's kind of weak to be honest. So therefore I'll say she's A tier because you need all these specific items. Next up we got is MF. Honestly, I feel like she's like low A tier, high B tier. So it's kind of in between, but she does do damage. So if you need her, or if you have to pivot into her because you can't play Xayah, she is also good for that. And she's technically like a top 5, top 6 unit, but you could possibly win with her. It just depends on the circumstance. Next up we got is our execution units here, which is Rengar, Graves, and Varus. These 3 synergize really well together, and on top of that, their damage is super strong, and their executioner. On top of that, they have different item builds. Like for example, Rengar is frontline melee, Graves technically can hold Last Whisper, be very powerful for him, and for Varus' case, you can just put AP items on him, he's super strong. There's a lot of games that I win with just Exotech in general too, and I have Varus in for AP item holder for 7 Exotech. Even though that's not a meta comp, sometimes you might have to play it for certain reasons, but Varus shines really well. Speaking of Exotech, we got the 2 Exotech units here, which is Sejuani as the main tank. She's actually really good because of her CC. And on top of that, if you have a decent Exotech tank item, she will outlive most tanks in the current meta. But for the most part, it's RNG with Exotech items, therefore I say she's A tier. And same with Zeri. You need specific Exotech items for her to be broken. But if you do get it, she could technically be S tier. Still, in the end, you kind of need a Rage Blade and an IE or like a Gunblade depending on what you're playing. So having a Rage Blade is kind of hard to build, and you have to have a perfect exotech item for her to be broken. So the other exotech unit that's also very powerful in the current meta is Jin. He's actually very strong with like the Nitro reroll, and on top of that, he's also very good with a splash trait for the Xayah comp because he gives both Dynamo for Aurora and Marksman for Xayah. So he's just good overall as a unit since he armor breaks for AD comps. Next up we got is the 2 attack speed users, and it's pretty simple to explain, which is just you play double Winsu's Rage Blade on them, Twisted Fate uses Gunblade, while Vayne uses Redance Hurricane. You just shred down the board, 3-star all your pieces, and they're basically good to go. The only reason why they're A tier instead of S tier is because you have to build double Rage Blade, which is really hard to get every game. But if you do get it, you're just super strong. And the other problem is their frontline isn't too strong either, but their damage makes up for the frontline. Another 2 cost reroll we got is Veigar. He's only good under the right condition of having the augment of the cyber boss, and that's where he shines, where he can just one-shot everyone with that augment. If not, you can just pivot into a Ziggs carry with that augment as well. But he's still actually really good. I prefer him over Seraphine reroll, to be honest. And next up we got is Zed. Honestly, during PvE, he was trash, but now during a live server, he's actually really good. I see him performing really well, and on top of that, he's actually very strong with just Vertical Divinity Corp. So if you want to pivot into a comp that will be very strong, Zed is the way to go if you have his items. Funny enough, as well, Vertical Cypher is actually very good if you have the augment of Cyphers, and he'd be very strong to one-shot everything as well. So I'm not going to fit every unit on this list. I'll probably say as well, like Senna is also A tier, she's actually pretty good as well. For our synergy, that's A tier. Exotech is very good under the right conditions of certain items. It could be S tier, but for the most part, because it's inconsistent, I would say it's A tier. Cypher is just good value of resources, and if you play Loose Streak, it also can pivot into Annie, or even you can pivot into playing Xayah. Either one's fine, or if you have the augment, like I said earlier, playing Zed with Cypher is very powerful as well. So overall, it's just a consistent like cash out comp for Loose Streak. Next up we got is Techies, and I would say technically is S tier because for what it provides since it debuffs enemies doing less damage to you. But the issue is most units cannot reach them. The only units that can reach like everything would be Viego or a Seraphine. For the most part, you're going to be playing 2, which the second one will most likely be a Mordekaiser. But Brand's also very powerful with Techies. And also, if you play Vertical Techie, 8 of them, you can win the game if you have a 2-star Viego. So that's the condition in order to win the game. And 2-star Viego is kind of hard to hit most games. So therefore, I say it's A tier. Next up, we got is Syndicate. And 3 Syndicate is okay overall because it buffs your TF or your MF. If you play 5, it's pretty mediocre. But if you play 7, it's actually very strong. And I would say it's S tier if you have 7 of them. But in order to get 7, you need Emblem. 2 of them, in fact. So it's kind of hard to play it overall. Next up, we got one of the most value synergies. If you get this emblem, you just throw it on any unit, which is Divinity Corp. Divinity Corp as a synergy as a whole is actually really strong as well, but it's not strong enough to be S tier. It's just strong enough to make you get a top 4. But if you get the emblem for it as well, honestly, I would say it's S tier. You can just throw on anyone. Your whole board gains 3% like lifesteal. This synergy in general is actually very good for Zed. If you throw the emblem on him, he will do a lot of work with it. Synergize it with the Garen with Divinity Corp, and Zed will be unstoppable. Next up we got is Rapid Fire. And as a synergy, it's pretty decent. Like Zeri and Draven can do work with Rapid Fire, but the main thing that makes Rapid Fire shine is if you get the emblem, you throw it on Renekton, it's super powerful on him. Like he will just destroy everyone with this emblem. But other than that, technically it's borderline like high B tier to low A tier. I would say in my personal experience, I'll say it's A tier. Next up is Slayer, and Slayer overall, honestly, I would say the synergy itself is kind of bad. I would say it's like B tier synergy, but the reason why it is A tier is because Vayne is actually very powerful with Slayer, and on top of that, you have Zed that's pretty decent with it, and Senna is also very strong with Slayer as well. If it had more room, I would put Senna in A tier. It's just the units that make up the synergy, which in most cases, it should be the other way around, which is synergy makes up the units, but for Slayers, it's the other way around. Next up, we got is Dynamo, and Dynamo as a synergy is pretty decent. It's like borderline A to B tier, but I would say it's mostly A tier due to because you can play them increments of 1, so you can play 2, 3, or 4, and on top of that, each of these units are actually very powerful with Dynamo, which is Jhin, MF, and Aurora. If you get an emblem with that, then you just throw it on any +1 unit. For example, maybe like Viego, so you can just keep casting over and over. So even as an emblem is pretty decent, and as a synergy, it's okay. Next up we got is Nitro, and Nitro is kind of trash to be honest, but it's good in a way if you want to play tempo. It gives you a +1 unit. It combos very well with Exotech, so that's the reason why Nitro would be A tier. And if you get an early game, you can start stacking at the very beginning, and hopefully it transfers into the T-Rex, which in all honesty, once you get 200 stacks to evolve it, it doesn't really do much. It's just a good +1 unit on the board if you can fit it. So it would technically be B tier, but from my experience, I've been winning with it somehow, so I'll put it on the A tier. Next up for items, we got is IE, and I would say it's borderline S tier. It's actually very powerful in most AD units. It's just that sometimes IE doesn't feel like it's enough, so that's the reason why I say it's A tier. And Deathblade is also a very good attack damage item, so it's also technically A tier. It's borderline B tier though. From my personal experience, I feel like it's strong enough to be an A tier. Next up we got is Morellicon, and you kind of can't go wrong with this item since it's anti-heal. It's good for a secondary carry like Ziggs or even Yuumi. It's just free anti-heal on the board if you can build it, because most of the time you don't really need rods and AP comps, so just slamming a Morellicon is very beneficial. So beneficial in the fact that you can actually just build it on Senna as well, and it's okay. If you're playing the Slayer comp, since she's technically AoE, her ability will hit multiple units with this item. Next up we got is Renown's Hurricane, and this item overall is actually really good. It's actually performing really well. I feel like the reason why it's not S tier is because it's not best in slot in most units. There's only 2 of them that I could think of that's best in slot in, and that would be Vayne or Senna. Other than that, it's an okay item overall. Even though with high stats, I would prefer just to slam other items than Renown's Hurricane, unless it's Biss on them. Or also if I'm in a pinch, like for example, I cannot build a damage item for Xayah, I will build that for her in some cases. But yeah, overall, this is a good item. Next up we got is our melee defensive items. And Titans is just an okay one overall. It's really powerful on Rengar, and it's okay on Zed, but for Zed's case, it's better to build Bloodthirster and Hodge. And Hodge is also pretty decent. It's good on almost every melee AD unit, including Graves. Edge Knight is a very good defensive one overall. It's good on Viego, it's good on Renekton, it's good on all the melee AD units as well. With those quick reasonings, I would say these melee items are A tier. For our AP items, Nashor's Tooth allows you to cast quicker, so it's pretty decent. And Jewel Gauntlet is probably like the only AP damage item that you can build. Our Revenant's Death Cap is kind of trash, so if you're playing for an AP tree route, just build Jewel Gauntlet. And then for strong tank items here, they could technically be S tier under the right conditions, but I'll say for the most part they're A tier because they're actually really useful and really powerful. Like Protector's Vow is good on any tank, but the problem is you have to use a tier for it, since you're gonna need tiers on like BIS items such as Shojin or even a blue buff for Annie. It's kind of hard to build this item. And Crown Guard is a very good tank item because rods are kind of a throwaway item depending on your situation, or unless you need to build Rage Blades on them, then you're gonna have to do that over building a Crown Guard. But if you have extra rods left over, you can build this item and it'll be fine. And a Redemption is actually very good this set. In theory, it sounds like it's an S tier because it gives your units durability. I didn't look at the stats for this, but I have not feel like it's been performing as I think it would, so that's the reason why I say it's A tier over Warmongs being an S tier. Also, if you're wondering why is Bramble and Declaw not an A tier or S tier, it's because I don't have enough space to show you guys. It's like its own subcategory. It's just there. It's pretty decent overall. It's not the worst. It's not the best. It's just situation if you need straight armor or straight magic resist. Now for the B tier comps, I'm just gonna zoom past this because I actually wanted to make this video a 15-minute video, but now it's gonna be around 20 to 25. So for Zac and Garen, I would say they're B tier, not because they're bad, it's because in certain situations you can't really throw them out on the board. It's kind of hard to fit them in most synergies. Like for the most part, there will be like level 10 units, and if you do throw them out, you basically win the game. Or for example, like Zac, he's good with Aurora, so Aurora can throw Zac out with her ability. But yeah, don't get me wrong, they're very powerful units. It's just hard to throw them out on the board. So therefore I say it's B tier. Next up we got is J4. He's an okay unit. He's not the worst tank, but his ability is okay. He's just there just to fill up synergies. Aphelios, honestly, he's actually pretty bad. During the set, I thought he's gonna be one of the best units, but it turns out he's actually one of the weakest units. You have to play him under the right conditions of having a marksman augment or very powerful combat augments for him to work out. So therefore I say he's B tier. Draven is only strong unless you get the Cypher augment. Therefore I say he's B tier. Simple as that. Same with Galio. Seraphine reroll is kind of overrated in my opinion. I haven't actually seen it win a game only one time because he had Viego 2 with 8 techies. Other than that, I feel like Seraphine's mediocre. A lot of people are hyping up the Nitro units such as Kindred 3 and Shyvana 3. In all honesty, Kindred 3 doesn't do enough. Same with Shyvana 3, she's not tanky enough. Simple as that. Fiddlesticks, honestly, he's actually very broken. If you get Blind Jeweled, he'll be technically an S tier unit, but without Blind Jeweled, he's just a B tier unit. Skarner, they kind of nerfed him a lot during PvE, so he's a pretty decent tank overall. If you need him, he's there. Cho'Gath, honestly, I feel like he's S tier. The only reason why he's B tier is because most comps can't fit him, so therefore he's just B tier for that reason. And Vex is a good pivot from Annie. If you can't complete Annie, just play Vex. There you go, speedrun for units. You may notice that I didn't show all the units. It's just mainly due because these are the highlighted units that people mostly play. Like for example, Urgot is a very good unit, but it's just that you're not going to play him as a carry. He's just there just to fill in the synergies. For the Marksman synergy, this synergy is actually really weak at the moment. They kind of nerfed it a lot. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't play it. If the comp needs it, like for example, the Jhin and the Xayah together, you kind of need it. because that's what they are, but for the most part, the synergy itself is not something you should force compared to forcing Animal Squad, so that's the reason why it's B tier. Compared to PBE's version, PBE, Marksman was super broken, but in Light Server is whatever. Next up we got is Boombot, and honestly 6 Boombot is broken. The issue is the units cannot play with it because all the carry units for Boombot is pretty weak, besides Cho'Gath, but like I said earlier with Cho'Gath, there's no carry units for him, so therefore Boombot is B tier, not because of synergy itself, it's because of the units. And lastly I'm gonna show here is Golden Ox. Overall, it's just whatever. Like, it fills in the blanks, it gives the Golden Ox unit some extra damage, it's just okay. And you may notice that I didn't put Vanguard or Bruiser here because it's its own subcategory, because you're gonna have to play it every game no matter what anyways. Unless playing 6 of them is just that broken, then I'll show it on another tier list later, but for now, they're just there as a subcategory of if you need it, it's there and it's useful. Speaking of being useful, Gargoyle Stoneplate, it's not bad, it's not good. If you need to build it, just do it, it's fine. Last Whisper, I mentioned this earlier that most units cannot really hold this, so having an Even Shroud is better, but if you need an armor break item and you can't build Even Shroud, just build Last Whisper because you're gonna need it. And for anti-heal, which is like red buff is not a horrible item like Last Whisper, it's just the power with red buff is not there, and if you need it, for example, you can't build Malakon or Sunfire, just build a red buff. Onyx Spark, basically same reasoning, but Onyx Spark is better because it hits multiple units compared to Onyx Spark. It's just only in a 2 hex radius. Hexa Gunblade overall is decent, it's just the raw damage output of it is useless and the healing is mediocre, but it's there for most carry units like for example TFT rule or even on Zeri is okay, it's just there if you need the healing. Adaptive Helm is a very great item, honestly I would prefer to be S tier, but the issue is most units doesn't really need this item, it's only there because you can't build a Shojin, you just build Adaptive Helm. As a tank item, it's also mediocre. QSS, honestly, is only good on like 2 units, which is just Graves and a Rengar. Is Graves like best item? Rengar is okay. For the most part, it's only good on Graves. That's basically about it. Steadfast Heart, it's just there. If you need a tank item, just build it. And Thieves Glove, same thing. It's just there. If you need it, it's okay. And that's basically about it for my tier list. I know I didn't show everything, mainly due because I can't fit it all. It's mainly because I just want to show the highlight stuff of the sets that I've been seeing currently. You may disagree with it, or you may agree with it. Just let me know in the comment section down below for what you think that should be rearranged around. Again, this is my personal experience. This is all my own opinion. This has nothing to do with statistics or facts. This is just me as a TFT player alone of what I experience, and I'm just showcasing of what I think. Before we go to the outro, let me talk about what is trash currently in patch 14.1. I would say Shaco is trash because even if you get 100 stacks, he still does nothing, but he is pretty good item holder and he's a good syndicate +1 synergy and whatever as a slayer. So overall, he's just trash. Morgana on the other hand, she's kind of borderline like B tier to trash. She's only good because she's a Vinicorp and she's an okay opener, but her ability is just too inefficient to the point that I would say she's trash. Same with LeBlanc. LeBlanc's ability does literally no damage. I don't know if they did this on purpose because she's a Cypher unit, you need to lose streak, so LeBlanc could kill some units, but if you're playing her as a main carry, she's trash. And Jinx, honestly, personally, I feel like she's trash. I've seen people win with her, but it doesn't mean that she's actually good. It's just depending on what you have at the time to make her good. I would say on average, she's just trash. And then Deathcap, compared to Deathblade, it's more useful as an AD item, but Deathcap as an AP item, flat AP stats doesn't do anything, so that's why I'll say it's trash. And Archangel Staff is also flat AP. It's only good on Aurora because she's the only one that can stall long enough for it to stack like 4 times, but most units cannot wait that long, so therefore it's trash. Giant Slayer, because of the change of damage amp, it used to be something else different. Like last set, it was whatever, but this set is even worse. It literally does nothing. Same thing with Sterak's, it's technically like a Giant Slayer of melee, it does literally nothing too. It is very good on Renekton though, don't get me wrong, but for the rest of the units like Zed, Graves, Rengar, it does nothing. Don't even build this item. But yeah, that's basically about it. Now for the outro.